Well, it is showtime, and welcome to another episode of Caged, our lockdown frenzy of celebs and finding out what everybody's up to. Now, we've got a very special one this evening. It is the Joseph special, as in Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. That's what you call it, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got none other than Darren D and Keith Jack. Now, they'll both explain who they are. If you don't know them, where have you been all this life? I'm Bev Lyons, and we're going to just have a bit of a laugh. Guys, first of all, welcome to the show. And welcome everybody who's joining in just now. What are we drinking this evening? I'm on the cup of tea, as usual.
I'm on the black coffee.
Black coffee.
I'm on nothing. I've been drinking gallons of water all day.
Have you?
Yeah.
You
advisable on a day like today, I would say.
I had a hangover, so that's why.
Now,
you see, no, I don't drink, so I don't get them anymore. Because I got to the point where hangovers lasted 4 days.
Oh dear.
Right.
Well, Darren, you have got a bit of a reputation as being a party boy, so I
did have. I'm a reformed character these days. Thank you.
I know that. And myself, one, and I'm anybody's, which is why we're on the TV.
I'm glad I never said that. That's all I'm going to say.
It's a terrible thing. Now, you two guys, I'm in Glasgow, Scotland. Where are you at the moment?
I'm in London. I'm in a flat in London, yeah. Not home, not anywhere near my home country.
So you're yes, in London. Yes, and where are you, Darren?
I'm not a million miles away from Keith. I'm in Essex. I'm back. I am an Essex boy. But I moved back to Essex last year, and so I'm in Essex. So I'm back on my old stomping ground now. Very
nice. It's a nice thing, but crazy time of year. And who are you isolating with? Are you both on your tour? I mean, I've got the Basset Hound. I've got my friend here.
Yeah.
How about yourself,
Darren?
Oh well, okay. Well, I'm very lucky. I live with my girlfriend Sophie. And we have a dog called Nelly, a chocolate Labrador.
Lovely.
And because we're allowed at this point to have children under 16 visit parents, so I've got my 3 children all coming together to us on Wednesday until Sunday. So there'll be 5 of us here, plus the dog from Wednesday. But at the moment, it's just my girlfriend Sophie and I, and our doggy.
Very nice. And how about yourself, Keith? And while you're doing that, I'm just going to let people know that we are live just now. So if you see me looking down, I am listening. I'm not being rude.
I'm in lockdown with my friend. He's staying with me in my flat. He kind of moved in not long before, maybe a month before we went into lockdown.
Yes.
And he's been here since. So we're just chilling out. Got the PlayStation on the go, got everything ready, proper lads pads, great.
Are you eating properly? It's very important that you eat properly at this time, and obviously
always eat properly.
I mean, I've been concocting all sorts of dishes. I did fajitas last night.
Now, we nearly had fajitas last night, funny enough. We were choosing between 3 things, and one of them was fajitas, but we went with a different option.
Okay. What was it you went with then last night?
We went with a little bit of cheesy crusted cod.
Oh, very nice. I like my fish as well. I've got some rainbow trout that I have as well, freshly caught.
Hey. Nothing wrong with a bit of rainbow trout.
Yeah, my weekly essential shop, so I need to eat it soon because it's going to go off in a minute. But yeah, how about yourself, Keith?
Well, this is the funny thing. So my flatmate's a vegan, and I am not a vegan, vegetarian, nothing. So
that's hell.
It's good because you know who's what in the fridge. Like, yeah. I know that he's got the tofu and I've got the steaks at the bottom. But we're last night I had smoked salmon, sweet potato wedges, and vegetables.
This is it's very culinary, very much indeed. What's everybody else been eating? Shelley Dawes says she's got a Basset Hound too. Pat Arthur says, hi Bev, hi Pat, and Kat Parry says, hey Keith. Deborah Davis says, behave Jordan. LOL. Deborah Davis says, she doesn't say anything, but she says hello, sort of. Gail Conopy says, hi Bev, great show. And Helen Thompson, hi Bev. We want to hear your questions. Now, Darren, just fill us in a little bit. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with you. I mean,
nor do I. That's been the problem all my life.
No, it's you don't know where to end. That's what's the problem.
Well, yes.
I mean,
More to the point.
musical-wise, you've been in just about everything, haven't you? From Grease to We Will Rock You to, of course, Joseph, which we'll talk about in just a second. But tell us more. What if you were writing a CV, which I'm sure you've never had to do? What would you put up there?
I have people to do that now, Bev. You know what I mean?
Oh,
But oh my goodness! I mean, look, I've been very, very lucky in my career, and really, without Joseph, I would probably be back on a building site in Essex somewhere, because it just the Palladium gig, landing that gig, it just gave me a career. Like every single thing that happened to me came from that gig. Simon Cowell was in the audience on the first night and came back and offered me a record deal with RCA. Nigel Lithgow, do you remember Nasty Nigel? Who isn't nasty? Who's lovely.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Nigel came back and offered me a 3-year deal with London Weekend Television. So it just from one. If Andrew Lloyd Webber, Lord Lloyd Webber, I should say, sorry, Andrew. If he had not have said yes, I wouldn't be here. It was just it was without sounding like the cliche police are going to come and arrest me at any point. It was just a dream come true. I went to see Morecambe and Wise at the Palladium when I was 5, taken by my grandfather, and my ambition from that day, whenever anyone asked me what my ambition was to play the London Palladium. And as a kid, I played Joseph at school. So landing the role of Joseph at the Palladium, it was just a dream come true, and it launched my career in a way in which no other show could have done. But
that's amazing.
Pardon?
Yeah, and you took over, by the way, from Philip Schofield for that slot, didn't you?
Yes, so Philip took over from Jason Donovan, both pals of mine, and because Philip and Jay, I mean, they're both still very big stars, but back then, I mean, they were huge, and so the kind of the general feeling in the West End was they must be getting Brad Pitt or someone in, because it's got to be a bigger story than Philip Schofield taking over from Jason Donovan. Suddenly, this unknown boy gets it, and my nickname at the Palladium for a few weeks was Darren Who.
Well, you soon made your mark. I mean, you weren't short of headlines in those days. Do you want to expand?
I don't know what you're talking about, Bev. I really don't.
I'm figuring out our boundaries in this interview, but
yeah.
we'll see where we go.
It's all right. Don't worry. All my boundaries have been pushed over. They're all gone.
Excellent.
They've been kicked down. Not all by me, but most of it.
I mean, look, you're hot stuff. I mean, you're still hot stuff. But right then, I just remember seeing you everywhere. The headlines were grabbed. You were, you were the guy to be seen with. You were the guy to be at the parties. And
you should have been my manager. Or certainly my PR agent, anyway.
You made the most of it. How crazy did it get in those days? And Keith, we'll come to you in a second, because you've got a mad story as well.
Yeah. Well, I think here's the weird thing, I think, is that for Keith and I, we will relate a lot in the fact that, what Keith went through with the TV show, I sort of went through, but it wasn't televised. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I was doing comic relief with my mate Shane Ritchie, 12th of March, 1993. It was a Friday, and I got a phone call from my manager, Peter Powell, at the time. And he said, "You've got an audition for Joseph next Friday." So next Friday, I went and auditioned at the Palladium.
Yes.
Andrew wasn't there then. I was recalled the following Wednesday, and I sang "Close Every Door" and "Any Dream Will Do," and Andrew was there. And then I will always remember I was in Marks and Spencer's in Golders Green, and my manager Peter phoned me up. And I mean, this is how old I am. I think mobiles had only just been invented. So I answered the phone, and I will never forget the words. And every time I say them, without sounding too show busy, I still go a bit goosebumps, because he said, "Mate, the dream coat is yours." And basically Andrew said to him, "Look, the creative team want this kid, but no one knows who he is. My mum failed to recognize me on some days at that point in my life." And he said, "Can you, in 6 weeks, make this guy fill the Palladium out?" So my manager said, "Within 6 weeks, I will have him on the front page of Smash Hits. He will be on every single TV show there is." And he did it. And we sold the Palladium out. And it was, you'll understand that kind of, that sudden springboard kids.
Unreal.
You know what I mean? It's like, and it's a crazy time. And when I look back now, I think I wish I could have sat back. You probably feel the same, Keith. Sometimes you wish you could have sat back and taken it in a little bit more. But as for you, it's so rapid, isn't it, mate?
Quick, yeah. I went from working in like a supermarket to suddenly being on a national TV program watched by like 50 million people. It was mental.
Any dream will do, of course, for
There you
you.
go.
For those out
There
there,
you go, mate.
Joseph educated.
Yeah,
Amazing.
back in 2007, the search for the Joseph, and I remember where it hit me is when we kind of went through the whole period of the auditions and all that stuff with Andrew and then Andrew's Castle and all that kind of stuff, and then we were in London and we were kind of in lockdown. No one was allowed to see who we were, like we were hidden in a house.
So you're used to the lockdown, at
I
least.
was going to say,
We used to lockdown, yeah, hidden in but it was a bit different back then because if you wanted anything, someone would go and get it for you.
Okay.
But it was like,
as long as they've got a mask on, it's fine. Well, maybe not.
Same
Keep their social distance and all the other points.
Exactly, same thing. And then we'd be like, we were out, and then we did the live programs, and then we got offered to go and watch Wicked. Now it was like during the week we had a night off. It was like bliss. We'd never had a night off in like 2 months or something. And it was like, I think week 4, the program, week 5. So it was quite a bit through. And we went to watch Wicked. And I remember we walked into the theatre. There was only 3 or 4 of us. It wasn't us all that went. We walked into the theatre. We went to sit down in our seats. And someone realised who we were. And everyone just stood up. And there was queues down the aisles of people trying to get autographs and photos and everything. I was like, whoa, what's this? And that was the first time I realised how mental it was after that. Like,
now you both know obviously Lord Lloyd Webber very, very well. Tell me this though, do you know what kind of car he drives, or what car he uses?
I would imagine a very expensive one. I've got. Oh, go on, Keith.
It's the black cab.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know,
of course he has. Yeah.
I was told this today that Andrew Lloyd Webber drives about in a black cab, and I think there's no sort of plates on it anymore. But that's how he likes to get about.
Yeah.
I've forgotten about that. Yeah, I had forgotten about that.
And I was also told by Jason, who I very often go out and about meeting the celebs with, that he doesn't have a sat nav in the cab. He prefers his driver to use maps. So if you're watching Lord Lloyd Webber, sorry if that's wrong and you can correct us, but that's what I hear, that you like the old school thing.
So like the old Atlas.
Yeah, a bit like that.
Wow.
Can I just say hello, by the way, to Agnes Payton, who says, hi, everyone. Any workmen outside tonight, babe? She's asking that because our last live with Graham Clark from Wet, Wet, Wet was interrupted because the water went off, which is a bit ironic since it was wet, wet, wet. It was dry, dry, dry. And not only did they get the water off, but they also managed to disconnect the Wi-Fi. So Agnes, hopefully there's no workmen tonight. June Field, maybe you'll be able to tell us if there's any workmen out tonight, because June Field is a star psychic to the stars. Anything you want to ask her, Darren, while she's on?
Yeah, can you tell me how this interview's going to go?
I'd
appreciate that.
Anyway, at all. Deborah Davis says, hello, Darren. Guys, get your questions going, not just Joseph orientated. Obviously, we are talking about Joseph this evening, because just tell us briefly what it is that you're doing with Joseph, and then we'll talk about some other things, because I've got some good questions for you, I think. Hopefully, we'll get some decent answers. Sure. So, yeah.
A live Joseph concert with a few different Josephs, and it's kind of like to raise money for charity, obviously, because right now there's a lot of performers and stuff who are completely at work. There's a lot of theatres that are struggling. It's to raise money to help. And it's kind of putting everyone together, loads of different people who've been involved in the production, loads of different Butler, Baker, brothers, and the narrators, Josephs, everyone, and putting everyone together and doing this big live concert version.
How many Josephs are we talking here?
4.
I think there's 4. Yeah, there's 4 Josephs, and I think all told, I think it's like 30 in the cast, maybe around.
Yeah, I think about 32 cast members. Yeah.
What is it? Jess Conran's another of the Josephs. Is that right?
He is doing the introduction. He's not. I mean, he was one of the original Josephs, of course, but Jess is doing the introductions. So we've got Mike Holloway, who was one of the original Josephs. Myself. One of my best pals, Jamie Hensley, and of course our wonderful Keith Jack, who's here with us now. That's the 4 of us.
And you've all worn the loincloth. And how does that feel? Tell us a bit about that before we move on, because it's very important.
It feels good not to wear it in lockdown when I was trying to film the show, to be honest. I don't know if you did that, Dan. I don't know if you didn't do it, because I have mine. I have mine in the cupboard.
You got your loincloth?
Yeah, and I thought, should I wear it for filming? I thought, oh no, I can't do that. That's just weird.
Does it make you sing higher?
No, it makes you tense a lot more.
Why?
You forget to breathe. You just don't breathe.
Darren, what have you got to say on this matter?
On the loincloth matter, listen, I had a very dodgy loincloth moment at the Palladium, because I don't know how it was when you did it, Keith, but the loincloth was held on by about 4 or 5 popper studs and a little hook and eye at the top. You know?
Yeah.
And then the thing that comes down the middle, we won't go into that, but it sort of covers all the popper studs and the hook and eye. So in Close Every Door, Keith, again, you'll notice you've got a certain direction of when you stand up and when you sit down. And so you start down on the floor, you come up sort of with one knee first. Well, this one particular night, during Close Every Door, one by one, during the stage directions, the 4 or 5 popper studs popped one by one. So when it got to Go, 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 Joseph, that closes the first half, I was held on just by the hook and eye. And I don't know how the direction was when you did it, Keith, but I had to go up on the shoulders of 2 of the brothers. So I would literally sit one bum cheek on one shoulder of the guys and the other bum cheek on the other shoulder of the other guy. And as I did that, just before the blackout, the popper stud, the hook and eye, and I was left in a jock strap, which is flesh coloured. But fortunately, it was a split second before there was a blackout. But I'm sure there's some people in that audience that were there that night that thought, was he wearing a jock strap or not? Because it was flesh coloured. So I have mixed memories about the loincloth. I certainly couldn't carry it off these days because I'm 51. If you want to see the loincloth, I would definitely say put Keith in it and not me tonight.
Okay. I was going to ask, what's age got to do with it? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know enough about these things, of how that would affect things. But anyway, okay. So Keith, have you had any wardrobe malfunctions with the loincloth before we talk about favourite musicals and Peyton's asked there?
I had one, and Darren, I went one step further. So I was top of Act 2, was slightly different. So I used to come down and sit on the side of the stage in a loincloth. And I used to change kind of my jock or my underwear in the interval, just because we used to have a change between, and I forgot to put it on. So I went down, sat down, and I realized whilst I was on stage, but I went off, got my underwear, came back on, thought I got away with it, and I come out the stage door, and no doubt someone came, a couple of old women in Nottingham it was, came up and said, "Oh, we've seen a bit more of you than we thought we'd see."
Oh, nice.
So
I did a similar thing. Was when you're sitting there for the narrator's opening number in Act 2, sitting there, and you're a slave at that point, aren't you? You got the 2 guys either side of you, and I thought, blimey, my wig feels it feels really light tonight, and I was like, why is that? Because at the Palladium, the microphone pack was in the back of the wig. The microphone actually used to come there, but the pack, so there was no wire going down your back. The pack was like fitted into the back of the wig. And I thought, it feels really loose tonight. And then as you're singing, I'm thinking, I've not got my mic on. So I kind of whispered to one of the guys who went, "Can you pretend that you're sort of taking me off, like you're going to, give me a bit of a beating or something, because I need to go and get my microphone from the dressing room." So the 2 boys put me up and walked me off, and I just made it back on for my cue. So we've both been there, done it, but obviously, yes, they saw more of you than they did of me.
That is live theatre for you. Can I just say that everybody that's viewing this, including Kat Parry and Jane Ann Robley and Haley Hope Bordiak, all want to see you in your loincloth now. I'm not sure if we can convince you towards the end of this interview, but we'll park it just now, will we?
It's packed away. It's going to take me time to find it. There's not enough time.
You'll hear it rambling about in the background, I can imagine. Now, I wanted just to, because I think a lot of people don't realise this, not only is Keith Jack Scottish, but Darren Day, you're a wee secret Scotsman, aren't you? Tell us more.
Yeah, sort of half Glaswegian. Well, sort of, you know, a lot of Glaswegian blood. My family are from Milgai, and my dear Auntie Thelma, who's no longer with us, she was from quite a posh part, actually. She was from Bearsden.
Oh yes, that's right.
But my dad, Bearsden. But my dad, and I don't know if the Gorbals are still there, but my dad was born in the Gorbals.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if they're still even there, but
the Gorbals, they're just across
are they?
the
I mean, I've not been to Glasgow for quite a few years, but yes, so I do have Glaswegian blood.
You've got, so your dad was born in the Gorbals, actually.
Yeah.
There, so but he was well out of it by the time that you were born, so you weren't.
Yes, yeah, he was down. Yeah, I was born in Colchester in Essex, so he'd moved well, very, very much south by that point. But as kids, we used to go up there all the time. And I mean, for me, Inverness and, you know, it's just one of the most beautiful places that I've ever visited, you know.
So has your dad taught you all the Glaswegian things that you learn? I don't know. I mean, that sounds a silly question, but I'm talking about, do you have a taste for the Scottish foods? Do you know all the phrases? I'm sure Keith can teach you a few, and I can teach you a few.
Well,
a wheaty sandwich going on.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, and I swear to God this is true, literally about a week ago, we were shopping, social distancing, of course, and we saw some haggis. And I said to my lovely girlfriend, Sophie, I said, would you know how to cook that? Because, I mean, you're talking about someone who came forth on Celebrity Come Dine With Me. I mean, you wouldn't want me to cook for you. But she cooked me some haggis. So literally only about 7-8 days ago, I had a bit of haggis.
And did that taste like something that you might have tasted on I'm a Celeb, Get Me Out of Here, another show which you've also appeared in?
For what I would have given for a bit of haggis in that jungle.
Really?
What I would have given.
So it didn't taste like cockroach or anything like that, or? Oh
no, I love the old haggis. No, but also the Celebrity Jungle thing. I was in the first ever series of that, and there were none of those kind of eating challenges in that first one. It was more physical stuff.
Yes.
But I'm sure even if someone has no Scottish blood in them whatsoever, when you're in that jungle, you would give your eye teeth for a bit of haggis, whether you like it or not.
Did you have a luxury that you were able to take into I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here at the time, Darren?
Yeah, I did.
What was?
Oh, I will come clean. It was hair gel.
Really?
And the reason being, I'll tell you the only reason being is you do not want to see my barnet without any product in it. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't know. It's looking very fetching. Are you?
Yeah, but lot of products in that, love. I mean, lot of products.
You've had your hair done, haven't you? And you've been in isolation, or have you just been? I saw that you'd done a haircut yourself. Did you not?
So what? Literally about 5 weeks before lockdown, I went for this what they call the undercut.
Yes.
So it's sort of all cut under there, and it was a very spur of the moment thing. And I just thank God now, really, because I mean, obviously, you know, the top is growing and whatever, but with a pair of clippers, I can do the sides, and my girlfriend Sophie can do the back. Now, if I'd have kept with my original hairstyle, I would have been up. What's her name's creek?
And Alison Harold, by the way, wants a better mention from you, big cuz. That's what
my Alison.
Yeah, you're Alison.
So my Auntie Thelma, who I've just talked about, Alison is my Auntie Thelma's granddaughter. So that's my cousin. Hello, Ellie. That's my cousin. And if you wouldn't mind, I think my kids may be watching, so I would like to say hello to my son Corey and his girlfriend Marley, and my daughter Maddie, and my little boy Dalton.
Oh, lovely. It's a family show. Now, Keith, obviously, you haven't done I'm a Celeb yet.
No.
Is it something that you would entertain? Because take us on a little journey of what happened to you after Any Dream Will Do, and where you're at these days.
Actually, the first job I ever did was the narrator in Joseph after the program, because we had a rule written in that no one in the top 3 was allowed to play Joseph, apart from the winner. So Andrew and Bill, the Lord approached me and said, "Do you want to do the narrator on tour? We think it would teach you something in terms of just singing all the time and getting out there and being on stage in a different way." And they always thought I was a little bit young back then to play the part of Joseph. That's right, and I did that for 8 months. And then
I'll tell you what as well, I remember you showing off your body. I mean, obviously you have anyway as Joseph, but was it scary to sort of strip off and sort of bare all, or did you have no inhibitions about it in the first place?
I think then I was so skinny when I did the narrator. I was 8 stone. And then I remember like a few years later, about 2012 or 2011, I got offered the part of Joseph, and that's when I bulked up. That's when I was like, I'm not putting that loincloth on without like having abs or something. So I remember going from 8 stone to 12 stone. And when I put the loincloth on, I was like the best shape of my life.
No wonder you're eating fish in lockdown and all other healthy proteinous foods.
Exactly. I'm pretty good. I stick with my good calories. The first time we come into lockdown, I binged everything for 2 weeks, and then I went, okay, I need to stop doing this.
I
train 6 days a week, do my gym, do a run, do everything I need to. But
now, you last played Joseph, what, about 8 years ago? Is that right?
About 2012 or something like that, around that time, yeah. I hung up the coat and gave it to H from Steps. H came back in and took it. Ian came back in and took over.
And do you sort of give them advice when they take over? I mean, it's like, did Philip Schofield give you any advice, Darren, when you took over from him? Keith, did you give H any advice when you took over?
I think Ian had done it before I had ever done it, because Ian done it, I think, back in 2006 or something like that. Maybe
I think I may have either taken over from him in at the New London Theatre in the West End, or the other way around. Actually, no, I'll tell you what happened. I took over from, bless his heart, no longer with us, lovely Stephen Gately, and then I think Ian may have come in and taken over from me. I think that's how it went.
He come back and took over from me, yeah. So he knew what he was doing. He went, is it all kind of the same? And I went, yeah. And that was
he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
And following that, obviously, you've carved out a niche for yourself, doing lots of musical theatre as well, and lots of songs and albums. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've been lucky. I've done 4 albums now, kind of 4 tours. Been lucky enough to sing for the Queen when we did the Scottish Parliament building, and flown to Spain to sing for the royal family as well, which was amazing. And
that is cool. What was that like? Do you get the golden spoon and the caviar?
No, I wasn't allowed to know where we were going. That was a weird thing. I got off at the airport and they literally took me to this like private castle. No one was allowed to know where we were going.
When was that?
I had to give them. Still to this day, I couldn't tell you where I was.
Really? When was that you did that? That you sang for the
2013, 14.
And how did that come about? What, did they just phone you up? Did they just a royal appointment for you?
They seen me on a TV thing. They seen me on the Joseph program. They seen me on some other stuff. I think a relative had seen me do something around a concert somewhere abroad or something, and they were like, "We want this guy to come and sing it our birthday," and I went and sang.
That's brilliant. What about you, Darren? Have you had any weird invites to sing or to perform?
I was lucky enough. Literally, maybe. So Joseph was in May of 1993, and then I went straight to record the Godspell album with Stephen Schwartz, which I got to do at Abbey Road Studios. Which, like, in my first year of being in the business, was crazy. And then he'd written a new song for Godspell called Beautiful City, which had never been done before. And so I did it on the Raw Variety Show that year. So I sang for the Queen as well. And one of my best pals, Joe Pasquale, is one of my best mates. And so we speak all the time, spoke yesterday. So we each have our pictures of, he was stood next to me in the lineup. So we've both got each other on our walls, you know, meeting the Queen. So I've got obviously my one with her shaking my hand with Joe next to me. And then he's got, you know, his picture of her shaking his hand with me next to him. But I mean, you know, there is something, you know, for me, I love the Queen, if I'm honest. And I have to say, she was so cool because, you know, you're told you cannot talk to her unless she talks to you. You can't like initiate a conversation. But she was so lovely. I thought she was lovely. So, I mean, there is something, you know, there is something very special, especially, I suppose, if you're British, about being asked to sing for the Queen, isn't there, mate? You know?
Yeah, and especially like just for the fact that you kind of feel quite humbled about it, and it's quite it's something every singer performer, like if you're a comedian or something, like you've obviously done Raw Variety, and just even to be in that presence, to do it is a lovely thing. And everyone kind of goes, oh, I'd love to sing for the Queen or do this, and to get the chance to do it and have that on kind of the memories, a nice feeling.
What about nerves? Did nerves get in the way, and how did you deal with them at the time, or how do you deal with them even now?
Nerves are a great thing. I love nerves. Someone said to me, if you don't get nervous, you don't care enough. And I think it's so true, because even like recording the Joseph stuff that we've just done for this concert, like I was still getting nervous doing it, because you're in a studio and it's going back out. Like, it's because you care. And if you can utilize it and use it, it enhances everything. It enhances your performance. It makes you do things that you wouldn't maybe normally do, but that's a great thing because you do things on the spur of the moment. And it gives you a nice focus if you can hone it and embrace it. Embrace your nerves. I think they're a great thing, where everyone thinks being nervous is a bad thing, but it's not. Adrenaline's a great thing, and it's lovely to have.
I agree. And I'll tell you what, though, mate, it's not so easy to sing those songs at 51 as it was at 24, especially the end of Close Every Door. Blimey. And the big crescendo, you know, at the end of the Any Dream Will Do reprise. You know, I literally recorded my vocals last night, and I'm like, blimey, you know, those notes were much easier to hit in my 20s than they are in my early 50s.
But isn't it great?
You're in a weird space because you're in your house as well.
I know.
Like, it's not like you're in a studio and it's all the good sound, it's all that kind of stuff, or you're on a stage. You're in your house, like singing in a random room.
What do the neighbours say?
They've all moved.
They've left.
Mine have.
I bet they have. Ryan Williams says, hi, Keith, Jack, and Jack. Alison Harold, by the way, is still on about her. But I know Alison Harold. In fact, I used to live next door to Alison Harold. And it was her granddad at the time. So anyway, but that's Inverness is lovely, says Ralph Guinness. Stuck on Laird's land, he had to tow me out. He got stuck on Laird's land.
Oh.
Do you know Laird's land?
Yeah.
In Inverness. Have you ever been stuck there?
I've never been stuck there. I've been there. I've never got stuck there.
Can you do a wee Scottish accent for us, Darren, since you are?
Oh, that's so much pressure, isn't it? It's so much pressure. I mean, I could do a Billy Connolly, you know. Oh, you don't want to do that, you know. Okay. I can sort of do it when do you know what the funny thing is? It's like when I come down, I lived up north for quite a long time.
Yes.
And when I came back down to Essex, when I talk to my mates now, they go, God, you're right. I spoke to my pal Daniela Westbrook on the phone 2 days ago, and she said, cool, blimey, she said, you ain't half Essex again, ain't you? And you know what it's like. I think sometimes when you go home, so when I go back up to Scotland,
yes,
I can sort of hear it again, you know, the same as I think, you know, because
the music,
going back to the day when I did Saturday Night Telly, regional accents, they weren't really encouraged, you know, because at the time the producers felt like you might alienate certain parts of the region. So I was literally sent for like voice coaching to get the London, the Essex out, you know.
That's mad. So
I know it is
changed now, totally.
To soften it a little bit, just for speaking.
Yeah, I mean now, I mean the accents are really sort of encouraged, aren't they? But it was more or less, it was just to make me sort of pronounce my T's and my H's, you know, because I didn't. And I don't again now. And the funny thing was so when I did my Saturday night stuff, I was listening to what everyone said. So I was a bit more like this, you know. And then when I did Celebrity Get Me Out of Here, I thought, nah, I'm just going to go back to being me. But then all the press called me Mockney Cockney because they thought I was putting the London Essexy voice on. But actually, it'd been the other way round.
You've been,
you know, I was encouraged to sort of talk a bit more nicely, I suppose.
Did you have to do a bit of that, Keith? Did you report?
Accent evolved anyway, just because actually, which is really funny. So, Bev, I don't know if you remember, you after the program, you interviewed me in a Tesco in Glasgow.
God.
And I've went back and listened to that interview, and if you listen to my accent back then compared to what it is now, but I think for me, because my life's mostly been kind of musicals and doing different characters and stuff. I've played like an English person. I played a lot of Americans. So my accent kind of differs a lot.
Yes.
And I think just speaking, doing interviews, doing different accents is kind of mellowed my own accent. And a lot of people when I go places think I'm American.
I can hear that a bit. I can hear you do spend time in America, don't you? You often visit one of your best pals, John Barrowman, who you met. Did you not meet him during anything you do?
Yeah, he was my judge, and he's been like one of my best friends. Yeah, no, but maybe that's where I've got it from, because he goes from Scottish to American.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Bilingual.
John and I were the same management company, so I know John pretty well too. Yeah, but yes, he does. He kind of goes between the two. Yeah, but he's Glaswegian, right? Oh.
He's from Glasgow, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Also sounds American. There you go. Keith Jack is morphing into an American.
Keith Jack is the new John Barrowman.
Well, it has been said, Keith, that you do resemble one another. Does that freak you out, or does it freak John out?
No, I'm like his little son. Like he got a great story when we were I was in Palm Springs for a holiday, and we went to. Because his mum and his dad have got a really broad Scottish accent even now, and we went to Costco, and we're getting served, and this woman, John's packing really fast, and this woman just turned to me and went, "Your dad packs really fast, doesn't he?" And that was it.
I think I wrote about that.
John was raging, and I was crying because he was so annoyed. But he's always got that, I'm like his little son. So ever since then, I call him and Scott the dads.
Oh,
but it's always been a little thing that everyone always thinks I look like his long lost son. But do you know what I mean? It's all right.
You are distantly related, which is kind of weird.
If I can have half his career, I'd be happy. So it's fine.
And you could do the Doctor Who thing and be Captain Keith Jack.
That's what I mean. If they did if they did like a flashback of Captain Jack.
Yes,
I'm ready to go.
Are you putting it out there? You've got to put it out there, and then
put it out there.
You know what I mean? Sign me up, ready to go.
Can we just say Louise I don't know if I'm spelling it correctly. Well, she's spelling it, but I don't know if I'm saying it. Siewierski says it is Haley. Leo Brown says yo. Pat Parry says, can me and Sarah have a hey off Keith, please?
Oh, it's Kat and Sarah. Hey, girls. They've been lovely. They come to watch us, and I met Kat and Sarah during Fame, and they've been followers ever since, and they come to watch Fame loads, and the amount of bags of Haribo strawberry sweets they bought me on tour was fantastic.
Oh. Do you know what I love that show, Fame. It's great. What for you was a highlight of doing Fame? And did you have any interest in people come and visit you backstage?
I think for me, the best thing about it is it's a triple threat show. You sing, dance, and act like fully for the whole show. And
is that what they call it in the business? A triple threat?
Yeah.
Yes, dance and act. And we
I
had
know now
threats as well, because we had people who could sing, dance, act, flip, and play piano, violin. The thing I loved about doing Fame was how talented the cast was. everyone could do incredible things. And David De Silva, who obviously is the father of Fame who wrote Fame, said it was the best version of Fame he's ever seen in his entire life. And it's now on Broadway HD now. You can watch it, and it's the only version on Broadway HD they've ever done.
Wow.
And it was the 30th anniversary. It was I had the best time doing it.
I mean, when you mentioned Broadway there, I thought, is that something, since you've got the American accent already, are you planning on heading over there at any point?
I'd love to do that. That's what I'd love to do. I'd love to take Fame over there, but obviously with what's going on just now in the world, it might be in 2029. So we'll see.
Okay, let's see what happens. Favorite musicals, we were asked earlier on, I think it was by Anne Payton. What are your favorite musicals, Darren? First of all, I mean, please list some of them that you've been in. I can't even. We've got Rock of Ages, we've got Grease.
Do you mean the musical? Is the question like musicals that I've done? Favorite musicals?
Well, you could talk about some that you've done, and then you could maybe tell us some that you haven't done that you'd like.
I mean, for me, Joseph. As I said, everything came from Joseph. I have such a soft spot for Joseph. I never imagined at my age I would get to sing those songs again. And this online concert's obviously done that. So Joseph will always be up there because it was just so special. To go to the complete other extreme, the Rocky Horror Show, when I played Frankenfurter, it was just because Richard O'Brien came into my dressing room on the first night, and he just said, just to let you know, you can say and do whatever you want on that stage. There are no boundaries with Frankenfurter, So that was to go from doing things like Joseph and Copacabana and Summer Holiday, where it was very, very, very family, clean cut, romantic musical.
Clean cut.
It was like breaking away from the shackles. But I've been very, very lucky. I mean, not Glasgow, but in Edinburgh, first night of We Will Rock You, first night, we're all singing Bohemian Rhapsody on stage, and the back thing goes up, and Brian May comes forward with the guitar, and Roger Taylor comes forward on the drums to play the solo, and I still go goosebumps thinking about it, because we're stood there singing Bohemian Rhapsody with Roger Taylor and Brian May. I've been very, very lucky. I've had some great moments on stage. The one musical which kind of involves Mr. Barrowman, which I saw him do in London, and he was fantastic. And it's my favorite musical. It's my favorite, certainly my favorite of Andrew's, that I never got the chance to do, was to play Joe Gillis in Sunset Boulevard. I love Sunset. And John was he was amazing in it. And so those really.
That's great. Can I just say, by the way, we're all sending love to Brian May. Just now, I don't know if you heard the news today, but he had a wee heart attack, and he said it was a small heart attack. He'd had another injury, and through that he'd had a heart attack. But he's okay. He's in recovery, and he's out and about, and he's talking. And you can check his Instagram. He's there. He's all cool.
You know what's so weird, Bev? And I'm not dropping names here, but I mean, Brian and I know each other pretty well. I know Anita, his wife. We were on tour together for 8 months. And I dropped him a text a few days ago. And it's so unusual for Brian not to get back to me. And I literally said to Soph a couple of days ago, Brian never got back to me because we wanted to go and, we were going to go and see him at the O2, which obviously is now not happening. But I had no idea. That explains it. I hope he's all right. We said
he is okay.
Big love, Brian. Big love, mate. God, I didn't know that.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I don't mean to dampen it. As I say, he's in
big
good
love,
shape,
Brian. Mate.
He's had stents put in. I think he said about 3 stents put in to help with his heart, because he didn't opt for the open heart surgery. So he says he's in very good shape, and he's been told that his heart is in very good shape as well. So
thank God for that.
Fresh from that, but I'm sure you'll.
I mean, you know what? This guy's a rock god, and he is one of the most. He is so humble. He is such a beautiful man, as is Anita, a lovely, lovely lady. But I remember saying to him when I knew he was going to play the guitar solo on the opening night at Edinburgh, I said, Brian, surely that audience, when they see you, surely, I mean, they're going to go mad, aren't they? And he just went this calm. He went, I suppose it is sort of quite a bit of a Guitar Hero moment, mate. Yeah. And it was as calm as that. And I'm like, but, you know, and obviously, I mean, yeah,
It
I
was
mean,
a surprise as
the
well,
crowd
wasn't
went
it? It
crazy.
wasn't bold.
But this is how cool he is. So I did Hello Dolly with Anita. And at the end, in the finale, this train comes on at the back. And one of the cast used to come on as the train driver, right? So Brian came to see the show. Anita said, Brian, will you put the train driver's gear on? So on stage, in our finale, the train comes on and it's Brian. But no one in the audience knew. But I could see people in the audience going, is that my mate? Is he the train driver? I mean, that's how cool he is.
That's cool. That is very cool. I love all that. How about yourself, Keith Jack? Favorite musicals, ones that either you've been in or that you'd like to be in?
I think what Darren was saying, Joseph, for me is always going to be up there because it set my career off, the TV show, everything about it, and to get to play Joseph like a few years later when I got a bit older as well, and I was at a kind of nice age to play it, it'll still be like one of my kind of favorite shows. I have a couple of dream shows for me, and actually playing Frankenfurter is one of them. But always wanted to do it, and it's something because everyone kind of puts me as like a Joseph or like I was Nick Piazza in Fame, always the nice parts, and I want to do one part where it's just like something completely different, and Frankenfurter is up there, and then Phantom in Phantom of the Opera is like my dream role.
That'd be lovely. You know, it sounds.
You'd be a great Phantom, mate.
I'd love to do it. I've got the face for it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, and another thing well, obviously it's not happening at the moment this year. Maybe, well, we don't know what's going on, obviously, with this situation that we're in. But I remember as a kid hearing Footloose on the radio and thinking, what a track, you know. And I should have been on tour playing the Reverend in Footloose, the musical. At the moment, we were supposed to have opened in April. So actually, you know, when you talk about favorite musicals, that for me, getting the chance to play the Reverend, I loved the movie. I loved the soundtrack. So that's one that I was supposed to be doing. I mean, hopefully it will still go ahead at some point, but we just don't know when. But you know, mate, you should definitely be the Phantom at some point, buddy.
You were with Celador, who did Fame for me.
Yes, Celador, and it was going to be Gareth Gates and myself.
Yeah, and my friend Tom was in it. Tom is in it. He's playing the bully. I can't remember his name. The bad boyfriend. He plays saxophone. Incredible.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I met Tom at the press thing. Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing, right? You guys are dropping names, but you're not meaning to. But it's incredible the amount of names and people that you know. Come on, tell us a bit of juice about them. We spoke a second ago about Andrew Lloyd Webber's taxi that he drives about, right? That nobody knows that he's in this taxi without plates. What can you tell us, Darren? Give us some names and give us a line. Go on.
No one will ever talk to me again. That's the problem.
Brilliant.
Oh, you know what I mean? No one will ever talk to me again.
You're disowned.
Well, we like.
Oh, I've already been disowned. I've been disowned many times.
We like the Brian May stuff about the train and everything like that as well. What about I don't know, any other?
There's a funny. One of my other pals, Brian Conley, if you put Brian Conley and Darren Day Wind Up into YouTube, I was at Brian's house for when William and Kate got married, and I played Cliff Richard on stage in 1996 summer holiday, and Brian was on the phone to his mum basically, and he said, "Oh, we've got so and so here." Gloria Honeyford was there, a few celebs, you know, but Cliff weren't there. And he suddenly said, I've got Cliff here, Mum. And I thought, Cliff's not here. And he looked at me and he went, "Cliff, come over and talk to my mum." So basically, I kept his mum on, and Anne-Marie, his wife, filmed it. So it's on YouTube. I basically kept his mum on the phone as Cliff for about 10 minutes. I even sang to her. So there's quite a good, if you put that into YouTube, you can see that on there. But Brian and I got up to a few little pranks like that. Yeah,
I love stuff like that. What about, did you meet Cliff Richards or Cliff Richard himself as well? Did he give his stamp of approval for your portrayal of him?
Cliff. Well, we remain friends today. We spoke at Christmas. He was so supportive to the point where not only did he come to our opening night and got up and sang with me at the end, but Simon Cowell asked Cliff to come and do backing vocals on my album, which was the soundtrack album to Summer Holiday. And I'm thinking, that's the cheekiest thing I've ever heard of.
And
asking
so
him to come and do backing vocals on his own songs. But you know what? He did it. He was offered money. He said, I don't want the money. I'll just come and do it. So on the Summer Holiday album, on 5 of the tracks, there's my lead vocal and it's Cliff singing the backing vocals. And I was in the studio. I'd done all my vocals and Cliff was doing the thing. And at one point, he just said, could you turn Darren's vocals up a bit, please? And I went, oh, my God. And I phoned my mum and I said, guess what Cliff just said? He said, can you turn Darren's vocals up? Because as a kid, my mum and dad played Cliff all the time. So it was like a bit surreal for me, but he remains a great friend to this day. And he was incredibly supportive. And what we were so lucky about, when they got rained off at Wimbledon that year,
yes,
it was about 3 or 4 weeks into our run, and he sang Summer Holiday. And the next day, the box office took 100 grand. So I have so much to thank Cliff for.
That is wonderful. Keith, can you top that?
No, I'm not going to try. You can have that one. That's a great story. It's moments like that that make this industry so cool as well. Like, yeah. and everyone is like, everyone always thinks there's a lot of divas, and there is, but like a lot of people are so grateful to do anything and to help out, and a lot of people don't have any egos and just want to get involved and make it amazing and respect each other as artists and performers and everything. And it's why I love this industry, to be honest.
So do you keep in touch with, obviously you've done this Joseph special, but do you keep in touch with Lloyd Webber, Keith?
I've been in touch with them a few times for different things, but the only time has been either I've needed something or it's been involved and they've needed something. It's never been like to be like, can you help me out? Do you know what I mean? Give me a part in Phantom or anything. But
I don't know. Put it out there. Put it out there.
I tell you what, after this lockdown, I'm going to send a little email and be like, Andrew, can I? But yeah, and I've seen him a few times since because I did a show called Sincerely Mr. Toad with David Andrew Wilson, who is now basically Andrew's like #1 guy. He writes all Andrew's arrangements now, does everything. He's working like the head on Cinderella. And Andrew came to watch the show and everything and was still great and very, very complimentary about the show and everything. And he's still, even now, it's nice that when I do see him, he still kind of remembers. And the first thing he always says to me is like, oh, you're so grown up now. You're not a little boy. And it's like,
you're not a wee boy.
What happens after 10 years? Do you know what I mean?
This is true. Now, Karen McCullough says, hello, Bev, Darren and Keith. So does Jim Reed and Debbie Renane. Stacey Holmes has got a wee party hat on. I think she's going for it tonight. Adam Lacey says, Keith is probably one of the most humble actors I've worked with. There you go. That's nice. Summer Holiday was the best, says Deborah Davis. And Jacqueline Allen says, hi, guys. Come on, give us your questions. We want questions. It's nice to get a hello, isn't it? But it's nice to get a question as well. Now, I want to know, because obviously you were saying, Darren, you know, Joseph was the start for it. And then you went for, you had other roles. And then you sort of went into the bad boy roles. And I guess that reflected your life as well a little bit. And Bev's probing away here. Keith, did you also feel that you're sort of, you said you haven't played the sort of bad boy guys yet? Is that something, do you think you're going to have to change your good guy image to get the bad boy roles? And Darren, do you think that was something that you had to do?
For me, I don't know. Like everyone thinks that I'm quite like the nice Halo boy, but if you ever look at my Instagram, you'll see that I'm definitely not.
Well, I have seen your bum. I have to tell you,
my bum is on Instagram. You do
flash your bottom quite a lot on there.
My ass was on it. I did a TikTok. I did a TikTok where it sounds like your vegetables are flapping to a song, and it was the Phil Collins, the drum fill. It's when he does the drum fill, and it goes.
Oh yeah. I can keep. Yeah. I can hear it coming in the air tonight.
It looks like your bits are going do 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 do, and I was doing that in a towel. Like, do you know what I mean? I do have a bad boy jokey side as well, but whether that'll help me play a part, I'm not really sure. But
I'll tell you what, mate. I wouldn't. Well, you never know. What might get offered now? You know, you think of the offers that might come in after COVID, after your vegetables. I mean, you never know.
The ones that have come in so far are OnlyFans account. Do you have it? I'm like, no.
Well, you know, it's always, if we're all struggling, it might be there. Darren, is that something? Do you think that if you're a bad boy in life, or if you have a wilder streak, does that help you secure some of the wilder roles?
I think sometimes, maybe with sort of soaps and stuff, you know, because I think perhaps sometimes if you play to type in a soap, I think sometimes if you want to play a bad boy and you've had some bad boy headlines, I mean, I do believe that maybe some of the bad boy headlines led to some of my later roles. You know, like when I did Hollyoaks and I played a pretty nasty villain called Danny Houston, and I do believe that perhaps they considered me for that. Maybe I wouldn't have been considered for that had I stayed, you know, the Joseph kind of boy. I mean, you got to remember, for me, and like you, Keith, and you'll understand this a little bit, I took over from Philip Schofield and Jason Donovan. I was called the new Jason Donovan at the beginning of my career. We had the same hairdresser, we had the same record company, we had the same producers. Then I was called the new Cliff Richard. Now, those are tags that, unless you are going to live your life, you know, incredibly whiter than white, shall we say, they're tough images to live up to. And I kind of did what everybody told me to do for the first 4 years, and was the kind of first to leave all the parties. And then I decided that I wanted to have a bit of fun, really, you know. But unfortunately, I didn't pull the reins up quite when I should have done. But I have now, and I'm very, you know, do you know what? I'm so grateful to still be, you know, I'm still working. I still get offered some lovely gigs. But I think because I had been called the new Cliff and the new Jason, when I started partying, I think the press probably jumped on my back more so than they would have done. I remember there being in a magazine, they ran a poll across the country to find out who the country thought was the ultimate bad boy and the ultimate boy next door. And Liam Gallagher came out as the ultimate bad boy, and I came out as the ultimate boy next door. Now, I remember reading that in about 1996 and thinking, I think I want to be on the other page, you know. Yeah. But if you've got that, I was doing Saturday night television, I was doing musical theatre. My albums, one of my albums was reviewed by the NME, and it said if Darren Day's album was any more middle of the road, he would be in danger of getting run over at this point. So when you've got that kind of image, and you then start to party, you know, it's all right. Liam can come out of a nightclub at 7 a.m. in the morning and walk into a lamppost. But when I did it, it didn't go down so well.
But you know, it's a lot of pressure. I mean, that was the next question, really, because there is this pressure. You get propelled into this spotlight. People expect you to behave a certain way, as you were saying. And I mean, Keith, have you ever felt that terrible pressure of having to be something that you're not?
No, I was always not. I wasn't always a good boy, but I was always quite like a good, chilled kid growing up anyway. But I've had little moments, like we were in Liverpool and I was actually doing Joseph, and I got called into the company. We had a night out for my birthday. I think it was my 21st or something like that. And I got called into the company manager's office, but it was the day off. He's like, phone me in the morning. He's like, Keith, can you come to the office? It's like, it's the day off. He's like, I need you to come in. So I went in, and we're in Liverpool, I think. And he went, can you knock on the door? And he's like, come in. He was like, do you want, how was your night? And I was like, I felt horrendous, by the way. He was like, "How was your night?" I was like, "Not." I was like, "It was good." He was like, "Do you want to tell me about this?" And anyway, he pushed the paper forward towards me, and it was me standing outside the Disney shop peeing on a statue of Mickey Mouse.
Okay.
You just smashed me out of the water. You just smashed me out of the water, Keith.
So
I can't stop that, mate.
It was like, I can't remember the title. I can't remember the headline, but it was like something will do. It was like I had a thing with from Bill and stuff being like, look, you can't do that. And I had a few moments like that I was like, they were like, you can't do that stuff. And I had people in the background that had a really good agent being like, look, we need to just get a nice career going for you and get the right idea and get the stuff. But I have little moments slip every so often like that.
But you're human. I mean, you're human. We're all human.
You know, you
that side though. I'll be the first. Like if I'm out on a night out and if I was drunk having a laugh and someone said take off your clothes, I'd be the first person to do it. That's my problem. Like I have that side of me, like that does like to have a laugh and just does not care. But sometimes you have to watch that, like especially because I'm playing kind of like if I'm doing like the Josephs or the Nick Piazzas and all that kind of stuff. Like if I still want to get cast as them, I can't be gone about showing my wanger.
No, you have to be confined.
What did you say? Your wagger?
I say my wanger, yeah.
Your wanger?
Yeah.
I love it, mate. I thought you said your wagger. But I'm going to use wanger from now on. You know, you said about you couldn't remember the headline about peeing on the thingy. Well, when I put a lot of weight on back in 2008, I got packed. And the headline on the front page of a certain Sunday newspaper was Joseph and his amazing Technicolor dream bloat. And then they put a picture of me from the pack and a picture of me as Joseph. And under the picture of me as Joseph, they put any dream will do. And under the picture of me from the pack picture from 2008, they put any cream cake will do.
That's awful. Darren, excuse me for laughing. It's just because it's so shocking.
I think it's funny as well. But what? Yeah, I mean, it forced me into quite a sharpish diet. Anyway, let's just say that.
I'm going to have to, by the way, you're going to hate me, but I'm going to have to move because my laptop's running out of battery and I've just realized.
No, that's okay. That's all right.
Moving position.
He's moving into position and you can look out the loincloth while he's moved. No, I'm joking.
Have a look at the loincloth, mate, yeah.
Now, what have we got here? We've got Kat Parry says, wow, I didn't even know that. Great story. How's the new hairdressing career going, Daz? This is the pictures I was referring to. You put on social media today or yesterday.
Yeah, well, I felt like I had to repay the favour. So my lovely girlfriend Sophie's been, she's been doing mine. So she asked me if I would colour her hair today. So we're in the garden. I've got the gloves on tonight, and I'm doing all the bits and pieces, And to a couple of, I know Lee Stafford quite well, who's a very, very famous celebrity hairdresser, who I did a programme in 2006 on children in need called Celebrity Scissorhands.
That's right.
And so we put tweets and stuff out just saying, I'm just hoping to God that my time on Celebrity Scissorhands is going to come in handy. And Lee just messaged me and said, we never did colour, mate. So perhaps I should have told Sophie about that before I did it. But actually, it's come out all right. She looks great. Well, she always looks great, but she looked great. So.
That's fantastic. Any new skills that you've learned during this isolation period, Keith Jack?
I tell you what I have done, which has actually been something I've always wanted to do. So obviously, like same with lucky enough to do albums and stuff, and I've always been really fascinated about mixing and mastering and all the vocal stuff. And that's actually something I've learned. I've spent about 200 hours learning how to mix and master using like Pro Tools and everything, and how to like add different things to vocals and how to mix music in, and just something different really, because I've been doing all these kind of like recorded things for charity and things. I thought actually why not learn something that is a passion I've always wanted to learn, like, and it's been something that I've loved, and it's been really interesting to be like, oh, that's how you do it, like that's what that sounds like, and that's why when I do this it doesn't sound right, or all these kind of things that you do not know behind the scenes, like of all these.
This is the time. This is the time to. We've got plenty of it. Sarah Dunn says, "Can you both sing the colours of the coat?"
Oh, do you know? I knew that question was going to come up.
That as well.
Now, I mean, Keith, surely you've got much more chance of this than me, because the last time I played it was in 2005.
Okay, yeah. Red, yellow, green, brown,
Brown,
scarlet, black, ochre, peach, ruby,
peach,
olive, violet,
violet,
fawn, lilac,
lilac,
gold,
gold, chocolate,
chocolate,
mauve,
mauve, cream, crimson, silver,
silver,
rose,
rose,
azure, lemon,
lemon.
russet, grey, purple, white, pink, orange, and blue.
Great.
Hey!
Great. Now sing
Well
it.
done, mate. Thank God you were here, because I wouldn't have had a chance. I can't remember what I did yesterday, let alone the colours of the coat.
You dyed the hair. Or was that today?
Oh well, yes. The hair was today. I clipped my hair yesterday with a little bit of help, but yeah.
Yeah, this is a same question I asked the other night. What made you both go into entertainment? Says Karen McCullough. If so, what inspired you? By the way, that was brilliant. I want to do it, but I can't. Okay.
After you, Keith.
My papa did. When I was really young, 5 years old, I knew that I wanted to be a performer. Like that's all I kind of wanted to do. And he inspired me. He was a great man. He was in the choir. He got me into.
Did you say this your granddad?
Yeah.
And you called him Papa?
Papa, yeah.
That's absolutely crazy. So my granddad, who I call Papa, was a vaudeville act, music hall. I've got two of his big posters up here. And the one place he wanted to play always was the Palladium. So when I played the Palladium, he came and he walked on the stage. How weird is that, mate?
That's cool.
And I called him Papa. And
was he your reason as well?
He was, yeah, pretty much what, it was in the blood, it was in the family. And he's sort of my Glaswegian kind of link of the family as well. So that's strange, mate, isn't it?
That is amazing. And also, let's just dwell on your grandfather for a minute, Darren, because also, did he not tour with George Formby, or he performed with George Formby, didn't he? I'm leaning on a lamppost at the corner of his feet.
He did. He performed with George Formby. He performed with this is Tessie O'Shea was a very, very famous vaudeville act. But better than that, Laurel and Hardy, who I've watched since I was a kid. I still love them. My little boy calls them the funny men.
And there's a Scottish link there, of course, as well with Stan Laurel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's partly Scottish as well. And in fact, Ross Owen's not on tonight, but I don't think he's here. If Ross, if you're here, he knows all about the Laurel and Hardy story as well, and he helped out with the Laurel and Hardy film actually too.
When was it? I mean, I texted Steve after it because I've known Steve Coogan for a long time, and I've always admired him. I think he's wonderful, but I just thought that movie. I just thought his Stan Laurel. It was just so beautifully played, and I mean, they both played it beautifully. But what a great movie that is, isn't
it? Just absolutely fantastic. Now, with all the reruns of shows, maybe that could come back. They're talking about Clockwise. Adam Lacey is saying about Clockwise.
Okay.
Oh my God! No, this is me. And no, okay. So it was my first ever children's TV show. If you want it, oh my goodness! It was on BBC Children's Afternoons, and I then got put on to Going Live when I think it was Philip and Sarah Green back in the day. So I went on to Going Live. I replaced the show called Double Dare that Peter Simon used to do. But please, it is on YouTube because Adam showed me it. But please don't watch it back because I look about 12 and I sound like I've been sucking on helium balloons when I talk.
I think I need to see this. I'm going to save that on my phone and I'm going to watch that later.
Cheers, Adam, for that. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
People have been sneaky little. They've been having sneaky little looks at your Insta since we mentioned that you had a bare bottom on there as well. They've been saying, so that's nice. My dates for Footloose have been moved from July to January 2021. So fingers crossed on that, I guess. You just don't know. Tell us about your scary COVID moments. Have you had any really scary moments, Darren?
I mean, look, I'm seriously lucky that my lady, my kids, my family are all safe and well, thank God. But I do, Sam Kane and Linda Lusardi, who are really, really close pals of mine.
And who June Field, can I just say, the psychic, the extraordinary psychic, helped by sending energy vibes.
He told me about, oh my goodness. So
Oh,
Sam told me this story 5 days ago about her.
Yes.
He told me this, I swear to God, he told me this story on the phone 5 days ago about her. But I mean, especially for Linda, that, you know, I mean, I didn't realize how close, how severe and bad it was for them until I spoke to Sam on the phone. But he spoke of her so highly. So I heard this story from Sam literally a few days ago.
I wrote about that story as well in the Scottish papers about June Field sending positive energy to Linda Lusardi via Sam Kane. And obviously the NHS had a large role to play in things as well.
Of course. Thank you, NHS.
Thank you, NHS, to that. But June Field definitely put her positive energy there, and Linda reacted very suddenly. You can check that out. It's on Google.
No, and it is true because Sam told me he couldn't have spoken more highly about that lovely lady.
It's so weird. It's all coming together. But Darren, scary COVID moment. So did that make you sort of realise a bit about your own mortality?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. I lost my dad in 2003, and
sorry to you.
And from then, I think when, as a guy, when you lose your dad, you do start to question that mortality thing, you know, because you think, oh, right, okay, so, and he died quite young as well, my dad, bless him. But yeah, you know, but I don't really worry for me, if I'm honest. I worry for my loved ones, you know. So as long as they're safe and sound, then I don't mind. I mean, but you know, I do have a couple of mates who have had it. My friend Mike Doyle, who I did, Opportunity Knocks with, which was like the Britain's Got Talent of its day in 1988. His son was very, very poorly in intensive care for 3 or 4 weeks, and so I was in constant contact with Mike, and I just feel blessed that none of my loved ones, that they're all safe and healthy as we speak. You know, I mean, it's just a crazy time we're all going through, isn't it? But it is the world over.
What's your supermarket experiences been like? What's your shopping experiences been like so far? Because that puts the fear of dread into me every time.
After you, mate.
Oh, weren't we? You were saying to me, I think it's hell. Like, because down here, I don't know what it's like near you, Darren, but for our Asda have the follow the arrows kind of thing.
That's it.
And nearly everyone does it, but there's always a couple of people that just don't.
It's the couple. That's it.
I've had a go at someone for not doing it, and like, but then the problem is like some of the Asda staff and obviously all the shop assistants have been amazing. But some of the Asda staff are not doing the lines either.
But it's a hard one. That's a hard one, isn't it? Because if you are working as an essential worker in a supermarket, we're so grateful that you're doing that.
Yeah, of course.
And it's a difficult one because, you know, boxes have to be unpacked and shelves have to be stacked and bills have to be attended to. And so there is this kind of thing of they're just getting on with it, but it's a really difficult one. We're having to think in ways that we've never thought about before.
There's always someone that just doesn't care. Like, there's always someone that just...
Yeah, that's true.
The worst thing I always think is you're not going to be the person that gets ill. You're going to be the person that gives it to someone else.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
And that's what I hate the most. Like, they'll
it's terrible.
But they'll give it to someone else. And that's every time that I see someone like that, I feel like sticking my trolley out or sticking my leg out and tripping them up. Like, just because they just... Like, one guy...
You should do it.
Well, I had a go at one guy. So me and my friend Jamie, we were in the Asda and we're just like standing and guy banged into the trolley and I went, I've got to say something. It was like, no, don't. Anyway, 2, 3, 4 aisles later, something happened again. I went, right, I'm going to say something. I just had a go at him. Like, and my dad's done it as well back home in Scotland. Like, he's had a go at people for being like this close and banging into him. And he's like, what are you doing? Like,
I've never been so angry in the supermarket. No.
It's I think it's horrible time going out anyway just now. And a supermarket makes you more tentative about stuff because you are touching things, you are next to more people, you are kind of, I don't know, in places in a sheltered area where air doesn't, I know with obviously air gets filtered out and stuff, but it's not always the same. So it does put you on edge because, like, for me, it's not me that I worry about. Like, I hope if I did get it, I'd be all right. But it's that my fear is that I'd be all right and I'd give it to someone else. Like,
Yeah.
and that's the worst thing is the fear of giving it to someone else and making someone else ill. That's part of the reason I stayed in London and I've not been home to see my family because I don't want to give it to any of them.
Karen McCulloch says, totally get you. Keith Casey Monroe says, cyclists are the worst. And Deborah Davis says, I've only one lung and chronic asthma. It's petrifying me catching COVID. It is petrifying. Darren, tell us your hell that you've been through with it.
Well, I mean, the supermarket thing is funny. Have you ever done that thing in the? I mean, I've done it myself in the past. I suppose we've all done it. You know, you've got your trolley and it's filled up. Someone stood near you with a trolley that's a similar kind of level of food and stuff as yours, and you sort of gone to grab the wrong trolley, you know, thinking it was your one. So Sophie and I were in Sainsbury's, and we had our trolley, you know, filled up, and there was a trolley near us that was filled up, and there was a couple sort of nearby, and she, you know, I mean, not on purpose, obviously, accidentally, but sort of went to our trolley, got hold of it, and started wheeling it off, and then realised it wasn't hers, so turned around and went back to hers. So then we look at each other and think, right, so she's now just touched our trolley. Do we leave that and repack, even though we've just taken 45 minutes to do what we've done? Or do we just take the risk and grab the trolley? So, I mean, it's just like you say, we are having to face challenges and things that we've just never had to do before, and hopefully we'll never have to do again.
I don't know if you're the same with your dog, but when Freddie Bassett goes out just now, and we've been out, and say we go to Glasgow Green, which is near quite near the Gorbals, and we take him out for a wee run there. And of course, there's other people there that will see a lovely Basset puppy he's now just 8 months. He's just turned, and they'll try and touch him. And of course, for as much as we'll try and say, look, don't, please don't touch, or I'll say, oh, I won't touch your dog because of the COVID thing. Sometimes it's too late, and he comes back and he's probably got all these hands all over his fur.
Yeah.
A J cloth there that have got baby shampoo on, and I wipe him down about 3 times before he can even come down, to take the shampoo off before he can come in the door. It's exhausting because then you've got the dog to wipe down, you've got the messages to wipe down, you've got yourself to wipe down. It takes me hours before I can actually sit down.
Sure.
Are you the same with your dog? Do you have you not thought about that? Because some people haven't thought about that with their dogs. Okay.
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you, Bev. No, I mean, I'm sure, my lady's much more switched on than I am. I'm sure she's thought about that. But until this moment, no, I hadn't thought about that. And of course, we take her out for a walk every day. I think it's great having a dog, really, because my children don't actually live with me. As I said, they're going to come stay with me. But it kind of makes you go out. And at least go out of the house for an hour of the day just to do the walk, because you've got to walk the dog. But I hadn't thought of that. But of course, tomorrow I will be. So I might wear the gloves that I used to colour Sophie's hair with today. I might keep those back and go out with them on tomorrow.
But Adam Lacey saying, yeah, come on, a dog licks his butt and then licks his fur. It's true. I mean, it's just...
So do some people that I know. I'll be truthful with you.
Lovely. Keith, I mean, it's just mad, isn't it? It's really crazy.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, we're all going about mental, in terms, and like sometimes I keep telling myself, I had a friend on the phone a couple of days ago who was like going, I can't do this, like I can't do this lockdown and stuff, I can't do this, I need to go and see someone. I was like, but in general, like what we're going through now, like I was like trying to put it in perspective for him. I was like, think what they went through, like the war, when no one had anything. People were dying, like thousands and thousands. People were dying everywhere. People had nothing, like no food, no Wi-Fi, no TV, like no electric at times, no nothing. And we've got like phones, PlayStations, laptops,
Very true.
Wi-Fi.
We're very lucky.
Food. Like, look, it was like we're only being asked to stay at home. And I was trying to say to him, I was like, just think of that. And he was like, yeah, that changed. He said to me like yesterday, he's like, it's changed my mindset in terms of.
That's a great perspective to look at it from, mate.
Yeah, just think
100%.
like that. Like, it is hard and it's fine to embrace that at times, but it's like actually in the grand scheme of things.
Have you had deliveries? We're being asked here, and how are you both coping mentally with the lockdown? Says Emily Moran or Moran.
I've not had a delivery. No, I like to use Asda as my day out.
Yeah, it's become the highlight of my week as well.
It's a day out, and I'm being all right. Like I've had maybe 1 or 2 days where I've been a bit like I don't know what to do today, but apart from that, it's been great.
It's a highlight and a low light, actually, because you get excited about going out and then you worry like heck when you come back. Did they get too close? Will I have to wait 2 weeks? What's going to happen?
What's quite funny is the Thursday night is, you know, you go out, so you only see your neighbours on the Thursday night for the NHS clap, you know, and then you do the clap, you know, hello, all right, and then you go, see you next Thursday, close the door. I mean, it's crazy times. When people do deliveries, you know, you hear the door knock or the bell, you go to the door, the parcel's on the mat, and they're already in the van going, see ya. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? But I mean, that's what it's got to be like.
Have neither of you been tempted to sing on a Thursday? I'll tell you, I've been having vocal coaching lessons from Robert Wishart, who's just appeared on this as well. And because of that, I've been taking it upon myself to entertain my neighbours. Well, that's what the intention is anyway, not to annoy. Have you been?
Yeah, well, maybe. Well, I'll give it. Maybe I'll give it a go this Thursday. But like I said, they'll probably go inside a lot quicker than they usually do if I start singing.
What would be your lockdown song, Darren?
I mean, that is a cracking question.
Told you there was great.
I tell you what, I know. I would quote my friend Joe Pasquale. I've got a song that'll get on your nerves, get on your nerves, get on your nerves. I've got a song that'll get on your... I'll probably do that one. No, I don't know. I tell you what, more than songs, I mean, I do love listening to music. Music can really change my mood. It can really lift my mood. But it's box sets and series that my lady and I have been getting into. And I mean, this week, I've only ever met Ricky Gervais one time at the BAFTAs many years ago. And I felt a bit foolish tweeting him, really. But we watched Afterlife, both series, and then we watched Derek, the 2 series. And I'd never seen them. And it blew me away. Well, both of them did in very different ways. Yes. And I felt like I had to tweet, and I tweeted him. And bless him, he got back both times to say thank you, which really meant a lot to me. But so for us, I mean, we do listen to music, but we are just watching every box set that there is.
Yes.
You know?
I've been watching Money Heist. I watched Orange is the New Black. Oh, it's brilliant. Money Heist. Oh, my goodness. It's Spanish, but it's dubbed. Although not everybody notices it's dubbed because it's so well dubbed. And check out, it's at Netflix. Great. How about yourself, Keith Jack? Lockdown song, and what have you been watching?
To be honest, I've been watching classics again. I've been watching all I just started watching. I love superhero stuff. I've just started watching Smallville again. I don't know if you remember the TV series Smallville.
Oh yes.
I've just started all that again. And my next thing is Ricky Gervais' Life. I've heard it's amazing.
I could see you in Smallville, by the way.
Is it Afterlife?
Afterlife, yeah, mate, amazing. So is Derek, though. I mean, very different programs, and I mean, I didn't, if I'm honest, you know, I hadn't seen a lot of what Ricky had done. Obviously, everyone knows who he is, but in this last couple of weeks, having seen him do both of those shows, the characters are so different. I think he is a genius, and I absolutely think he is just one of the best of his generation, without a shadow of doubt. Because not only does he perform these characters so beautifully, but he directs them, he writes them, he produces them.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, is for me. I mean, I am now through lockdown a massive Ricky Gervais fan.
There you go. It's funny because some people say he's like Marmite. You either love him or hate him, but I think he's great as well. I think it's so funny, isn't it? But
I mean, I think it's because of his stand. I mean, his stand up is very. He goes close to the bone, shall we say? But as an actor, I'd say that I wouldn't say there's anyone better than him as a character actor.
now, can I want to bring you on, Darren. I know that time is ticking on and we'll probably have to say our goodbye soon. Although, quite honestly, I could do this all night. We could have a pure all-nighter if you want.
We should have our own YouTube channel.
Darren Dave does all-nighter. I love it. Keith Jack.
Well, that wouldn't be the first headline. Wouldn't be the first time I'd read that headline, let me tell you.
Funny that. That's a funny one, that. What's your worst headline? Can I just ask? What was it, the cake one?
For me?
Oh.
The cake one?
The cream cakes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you mean the cream cakes? Yeah, probably. I mean, it was a funny thing because, look, do you know what? I mean, I was very overweight. I wasn't looking after myself at the time. I was very overweight, and I laugh about it now. But do you know what? I'll be honest with you. On the day, I was devastated because you're on the front page of a national newspaper being seen by millions of people, and I looked shocking. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I looked absolutely horrendous. But so yes, that was probably. But ironically enough, probably the most hurtful headline, and believe me, I've had some. Probably the most hurtful headline. But ironically enough, it really made me. I went to a military boot camp for 6 months, and I dropped 2.5 stone. And OK Magazine did a before and after thing with me, and so one, it forced me into getting back into shape, and two, I now think it's hilarious. So,
it's funny how things work. And I mean, if that headline hadn't happened, do you think you would have continued on your weighty journey? That's the other thing.
I'm sure at some point the penny would have dropped. I remember I was doing Hello Dolly at the time, and with Anita Dobson, with Brian's lovely wife. And when I was doing musicals, you're probably the same, Keith, is I always used to look forward to it, and it'd usually happen on the day of opening. You'd see the brochure for the first time. There's the program, but then there's the brochure where there are all the cast, where there's all the pictures of the thing. And I always used to look forward to that day because then you see what you're in. Do you know what I mean? You see the pictures of what the audience are going to see. And I always used to look forward to that day. And I got the brochure on this day, just before that headline. And I saw the first picture of me and I thought, oh, he must have caught me at a funny angle there. He's come from underneath, right? Just a dodgy picture, that one. Then I went to another page and I thought, oh, he's got me at another dodgy angle there. And obviously, he wasn't at a dodgy. It was me that was at the dodgy angle. I had my entrance in Hello Dolly. I came through a trapdoor, and I used to say, "You stamped, Mr. Van der Gelder." That was my opening line, and I actually got stuck in the trapdoor one night, like stuck. So I couldn't get out of it to go on stage, and I couldn't get back down to get back under the stage. So I've got the stage crew trying to push me up at one point, which didn't work. And then I've got the stage crew pulling me back down again, which didn't work. I mean, that did work in the end. I actually got pulled back down. But so I think at some point I would have probably realized myself that I was avoiding mirrors quite a lot at that point in time. But I do thank this particular newspaper for giving me a little bit of a push forward into that look,
Again,
getting back into shape.
I am sorry for laughing because I know that people do struggle with their weight.
I think it's funny as well. I think it's funny as well.
But if you're watching this and you're thinking that you're a bit, all sizes, all shapes in this world, and We love you all, and everybody. I think it's when it affects your health that you've probably got to look at these kind of things. Or maybe if it affects your performance and you get stuck in a trap door, perhaps that's a good.
But you know what? I just think it's, I don't know if I don't buy the magazines anymore, but like some of the headlines I used to read, particularly about girls, I just think we are all who we are. We are all different shapes and sizes, but that's why but no one should judge anybody for how they look or for how they are. It's like, I that's one of the parts of the industry that's always really bugged me. When you used to see those horrible headlines about, when girls or even guys are packed on beaches and stuff. And it's like, I just think it's one of the really horrible sides of this industry is because you should be able to look however you want to look, sound however you want to sound, and it should be your business and your business only, and it should be no one else's, and no one else has the right to judge you for anything.
People love to though, don't they? Like they get so bored and do what they want. And I think the thing is for our industry as well, it's like it's the roles that you play as well. You adapt to. Like a role might be a slightly bigger role, or you don't have to worry about like taking your top off or any of that kind of stuff. So you're allowed to be more flexible in what you want to do and what you want to be. But yeah, the minute anyone gets wind of something, it's like they'll just use it. Like so many celebrities get abused all the time. Like, and they do the opposite. They go, if like, especially like pregnancy. If a woman's been pregnant, a celebrity, and then they come out of it and they've got like stretch mark or they've got skinny too quick. She's like, oh, she got skinny too fast. It's like, why? Like, leave her alone.
Yeah. It comes back to the hashtag be kind, doesn't it? And it's something that, the world is always going to struggle with, but hopefully the more it's said, the more it makes people think. But it is hard. And I think, look, I'm a journalist and I know, headlines grab attention, and sometimes the headline makers will put something that's a bit shocking, and you will write an article that emphasizes the facts first, and it's an ongoing debate, isn't it? Because
it is, but it's very interesting, the be kind thing, Beverly, because I'll tell you what I've noticed during this this lockdown is people are nicer to each other. Like if you pass someone and you obviously, if you're walking down the path, then one of you will get out of the way so that, but you kind of go, hey, you doing all right? Stay safe. You all right? You healthy? There does seem to have been a little bit of a camaraderie sort of thing and a bit of a coming together. And I think the be kind thing, if the be kind, hashtag be kind thing could carry on after COVID-19, please God, has gone the F away, what a wonderful world it'd be, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's the one good thing. I think we've talked about this. It's the one good thing that's come out of this. Now, look, I'm going to let you go in just a sec. I just want to very briefly, Darren, you've done a lot of telly. We've not seen you on our screens for a wee bit. Maybe I'm wrong in saying that, but is there a role that you would like, or let's put, because Keith Dax put out a bit of wish fulfillment here. What would you like to be doing telly-wise and also in the future?
Sure. Okay, that's a good question. I mean, telly-wise, for me, doing Celebrity Big Brother 4 years ago was one of the best. I'd said no to it many times. Doing it, I was so scared. And I honestly, and I'm not saying this just to kind of, for any other reason, that it was absolutely factual. I really honestly believe, because of some of the previous headlines and stuff, I thought I would be the first to go. I got to the final, I came third, which I can't tell you how it made me so happy. I can't even tell you. And I think I just wanted the opportunity for the British public and the British media just to make their minds up about me, about who I am now, not about the boy who was in the headlines. And it went incredibly well for me. So that was a good TV. I was very lucky a couple of years ago to do a wonderful series called Stella with the great Ruth Jones. But if you're going to ask me for the dream role, without a doubt, EastEnders. That's what I would love. I was seen for EastEnders. I was seen for Mick Carter when Danny when Danny got it, and I was. Do you know what? I was obviously sad to not get the role, but I was pleased for Danny because I do rate Danny very much and I like him. But I'll be honest with you, I'd love to walk into Albert Square and I would love to walk into the Queen Vic one day.
Listen, anything could happen, and I could see you there. I mean, you're made for it, 100%.
Could you have a word for me then?
Well, look, let's put it out there and see what
Put
happens.
it out there, yeah.
I think, Keith, what about yourself? What would you like to be doing?
For me, TV-wise, I'd love to do one of the CW TV shows, like I said, I love the superhero stuff. They do like the Flash and Arrow and all that kind of stuff. I'd love to do something like that. I think, to be honest, as funny as it is, I'd love to kick off my acting stuff with my own accent, doing River City or something.
Okay.
I mean, like a bit of Scottish soap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
What's going on here?
Just to start, I think would be a really good thing. Like, I've had a few auditions, have been close for a few things, and never quite got the part due to different reasons, like we all do. But I think just one thing where I'd like to do would be something like that.
Something like that. And obviously, we're going to see you very soon online singing for this Joseph spectacle with 4 Josephs and a cast of many doing that. We have been asked, by the way, if the three of us, it's really you two guys, any dream will do. Jordan Doolin says, let's finish on Any Dream Will Do, the 3 of you singing together.
The 3 of us.
Aye, on you go.
Pick a key.
Pick a key.
Pick a key. Right, who's gonna? Well, we'll have to. It's like, you know, when you do happy birthday at a party, like everyone's in a different key, aren't they? So, look, Keith, you're the new Joseph. So you pick the key and we'll join in.
I would say, I closed my
eyes,
drew back the
curtain. Oh, brilliant! To see for certain what I thought I knew.
I closed
far away. We're all out of time here, isn't it? I mean, can you imagine how hard it's been to record this concert? Isn't it, Keith?
Just said, Any Dream Will Do.
Right, because you've got to remember, we've got to all sing together at certain points. We're all recording them in our own houses. So, like just now, look, we're all together and we couldn't stay in time. Can you imagine how hard it's been for us all? Isn't it, Keith?
It's so funny because, as well, as a Joseph, and I've seen so many like people play it as well, everyone has their own way of doing Joseph.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about doing this recording is we are doing that, but at times we're not. Like, it's like sticking to a certain rhythm, and it might be the complete opposite rhythm. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be really cool. Like, especially like to hear different people do it and all to bring together. And we've been videoing it and everything. Like,
I mean, I'll level with you because I was the last one to do my vocals. I heard you guys yesterday, and I heard the narrators, and I have to tell. I mean, I'm not just saying this, but it is going to be really special, this one. And I mean, you sounded amazing, mate. As do, I mean, Jamie Hensley is one of the greatest vocalists I've ever. The boy's got the voice of an angel. So have you, mate. And the narrators sound fantastic. It's going to be amazing. Everybody sounds brilliant, and they have picked. You know, like Keith said earlier, we've got 32 past cast members, most of which have done the tour, West End, maybe both, whatever. You've got the creme de la creme of the Joseph cast members, you know, and I heard a bits and pieces yesterday, and I got absolute goosebumps, if I'm honest with you.
Well, can I tell you, Hayley Hope Bordiak, who's editing it, says it's been a nightmare to edit.
You try singing it, Hayley. You try singing it.
I can imagine, though, like trying to put it all together, everyone together with all the videos and everything is going to be like it's not just 4 Josephs, like
multi-tracking,
big ensemble show. Like, everyone's involved at every point and nearly every number. Something's going on, and to put that all together and to give little bits to each different person, and you got so many different people playing different parts. I think there's like 4 or 5 narrators. I think there's a few Pharaohs. Like, it's not just 4 Josephs. It's like a few people playing every part.
I can't wait. And hopefully, as Adam Lacey says, this will be in 2 weeks' time. So you have to check the page, Joseph and the Amazing All-Star Cast highlights concert. But we'll share it as well when it happens too.
Listen, I'm really proud. I really am proud to be a part of it. And I'm not just saying that. I'm proud to be a part of it because it totally launched my career. You know, I the same with you, I guess, Keith. You know, and so I mean, I'm absolutely delighted to be a part of it. And I really think, I know a lot of shows have been doing it, but I really think this is going to be a little bit special. This one.
I think it's going to be very special. And I also love the fact, if you have just joined us and we're going to say goodbye, that both of you have got Scots blood in you, representing Scotland. We love that. And on that note, we're going to end it and say thank you so much for watching this Joseph special of Caged with me, Bev Lyons, and my very special guest tonight, Darren Day and Keith Jack. Thank you so much for watching.
God bless you. Stay safe, everybody. Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you and have a great night.
Thank you, NHS.
Okay, cheers. Oh, yes. Thank you, NHS and essential workers and everyone else. Bye.
Everyone.
End the broadcast.